Hey, everybody, it's Jaquetta Williams. Welcome back to the show. Today, I have a longtime friend of mine from my days in Knoxville, Tennessee at WBIR. We could have been a couple had it not been for the beautiful wife that he ended up encountering, and then he married her. So,
It's true.
Charlie,
It's true.
Charlie,
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a lot of regrets in my life, and that's one of them for sure. But
I
no,
love it.
no, just kidding. Of course, it's wonderful to see you. You're
Good to see you too.
spectacular as always.
Thank you, Charlie. Charlie and a lot of my friends from Knoxville and I talk a lot, particularly since we are in the middle of the climate that we're in. And so many things have come to the surface. One of the things I was telling Charlie that I really appreciated and respected about him is the fact that he is a white male who has taken the time to do his own research about racism, bigotry, just all of the things that we are encountering right now. You did that. Talk to me about why.
Um, well, I mean, a lot of different reasons. I think first and foremost, I had a realization at some point over the last probably 5 or 6 years, um, which seems dramatically late. I'm 47 years old. I should wish I had had it a lot sooner, but um, and that realization was that if I truly believed what I claim to believe, which is that all of us deserve equal treatment and to be given every opportunity, regardless of our skin color, of our ability level, of who we love, then I needed to be practicing that myself. I needed
Mhm.
to be that voice within my community because people listen. I mean, the Atlantic did an article not too long ago about calling us the loneliest generation because we're so secluded from each other. We're so connected through media and through technology, but we're so secluded from each other in a way that's for thousands and thousands of years we haven't been.
Mhm.
So in a way, social media is our voice. That's our how we communicate with the world, and
Yes.
like it or not, people see what we're posting, and people see what we're saying on there, good, bad, and the ugly. And so I realized that no one else who looked like me in my community was saying these sorts of things,
Mhm.
and if I wasn't going to do it, who would do it?
Mhm.
So that's really kind of my mindset, and why I choose to be so outspoken. I'm sure lots of people have muted me and lots of people have unfriended me, and
Mhm.
that's fine. It's not going to stop me from saying what I feel like needs to be said.
You know what I think is so interesting too, Charlie? It's funny that you mentioned that there may be some people who have unfriended you. And I was incredibly surprised by a number of people who I worked with in Knoxville and looking at some of their thoughts on their social media platforms. I was stunned
Yeah.
by what I learned about how they feel about people who look like me.
Mm.
And I have unfriended a number of people who I thought were my
Mhm.
friends, who I realized you couldn't be. You
Yeah.
could not be my friend if you felt this way. Can you explain to me why so many white people that I've encountered, some friends as well,
Yeah.
they don't take the time to post anything, say anything.
Hmm.
They don't even say anything about, oh, it's Black History Month.
Yeah.
Just a little simple post. But I have found I've championed for a lot of my friends, white women, just whomever.
Right.
But I noticed, like, oh, I don't really get that back. Why is that?
Um, I think it's a lot of reasons. And first, let me preface by saying that I'm learning about this all the time, every single day. So if I say something that strikes a sour chord or a sour note, please understand I'm coming at this from the most authentic way, and so please correct me and please steer me back in the right direction.
Of course.
But to answer your question, I think that a lot of people who look like me have the luxury of not having to think about race.
Uh-huh.
Um, and to answer your question about why I think that people don't take the time to come and say things like that, like voice support, I think it's because they don't think that they need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think they say, "Oh, Jaquetta knows that I love her, and so
Uh-huh.
even though I'm taking pictures of myself in a MAGA hat, she knows I don't feel that way about her." I think
Mm-hmm.
that people are able to compartmentalize that, and I think there's a lot of ignorance that's out there. I don't mean that as a pejorative word, because I think a lot of that ignorance is not necessarily their fault. Um, and we can get more into that. But I think they haven't taken the time to sit with those uncomfortable feelings and those uncomfortable moments to be like, okay, this person that I've known for years and I love and respect is saying that this is how they feel about this situation. I don't feel that way. Why don't I feel that way? And why
Mm-hmm.
do they feel that way? And then really break that down and see what's valid and what's not.
And why do another question I think too, and I know I'm not the only Black person who has had this experience. So when people watch this, they will know what I mean. Where if you have counterparts who are white,
Hmm.
oftentimes I found that they wanted me to explain or share what's the right question, what's the wrong question, what can I say, what can I not say, what should I do, what should I not do, rather than spending time with people who look like you, white women who look like you, white men who look like you, and coming together to come up with a plan on your own, excluding me. Because here's the thing, I can't explain to you why white people are racist or people feel the I can't explain that to you.
Yeah.
I'm not white. So
Yep.
you're asking the wrong person. And even when you talk about being in an ally kind of situation, yeah, but I don't really feel or sense allyship when I look at my white counterparts, and it's just the
Hmm.
truth. Or I can cherry pick how many. So why do white people do that? Asking Black people to help them understand what they should be doing.
Um, I think that, of course, everyone is different, but I think primarily that reason is because either they truly don't understand the context of the question that they're asking.
Hmm.
They don't see it as a they don't understand the context and the connotation that it comes with. They don't
Hmm.
understand that by asking you to explain it to them, that what they're really saying is, you know, prove to me, prove to me that my viewpoint is not valid. And it's on us, right? It's on us to figure that out. And
Hmm.
it's on us to say, okay, this needs to stop. This negative action that is impacting people who don't look like me, that needs to stop. And I need to be the person that participates in that action of getting that to stop, however that
Hmm.
looks like.
Hmm.
And so I think that's it. I think it goes back to ignorance. I think it goes back to just not understanding the situation, and certainly not understanding the situation from the point of view of someone who looks like you. Or
Hmm.
I think there's so much of that going on. I might be a little overly optimistic about that. I probably am. I think there
Hmm.
probably are some people out there who have sat with that and have chosen to go the other way, right? To have chosen, like, no, I don't believe this. I don't believe in equality truly, or
Hmm.
but I think sometimes hope is all we have in in this situation, and
Hmm.
we have to operate in that way.
One more question. I remember asking a friend of mine who has children in school. And of course, there was a school shooting that happened not too long here in Atlanta, out in Gwinnett County, and just across the country, they happen more often. And the majority of the time, I know what the shooter looks like. I know
Yep.
who the shooter is going to be. The shooter's not going to look like me.
Hmm.
And I have often wondered why the white community has not banded together in some kind of way to realize like something is going on with our children, our boys, to where they feel comfortable in going into a school because, of course, the government is not going to do anything about it to change it. Why is there no community to fix it if nobody else will? Because it just keeps happening.
Um, well, I think the key reason as to why it's primarily white males that are being radicalized and who choose violence as a way to express that. It's because they have not been given the proper tools to understand um, how to understand what is going on within them. And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is all of us are and this is white, black, whoever, this is just kind of how we grow up in America, is we all think we're going to be a Kardashian. We all think that we're going to be a movie star. We're all just, billionaires who haven't hit that lucky lottery ticket, right?
Right.
On top of that, ever since its inception, America has conditioned white males to believe that everything good is going to happen to them, that they deserve, that promotion, they deserve that job because of the color of their skin and
Mm-hmm.
because of their gender, and when that doesn't happen, they're upset and they don't have the tools to deal with it. And so they look to the internet because, again, we're so lonely in our generation, in our society. They look to online ways of coping with that, and it leads them down a dark path.
Mm-hmm.
None of that excuses the behavior. None of, there's a reason why I'm not shooting up schools and other people are, right? Like
Yeah.
that, it doesn't excuse the behavior, but I do think that that is the core issue. um, why why white people are not banding together and putting a stop to it, I think, honestly, because we're not ready to have these conversations with ourselves,
Oh yeah.
and we're not ready as a group to sit around and say, like, look, we're causing this. Our our the way that we are living our lives, the way that we have our priorities set, the way that we are working together or not working together within our communities, we're all feeding into this epidemic.
Mm.
And we have to be ready to, one, have that conversation, because we're not ready. None,
Mm-hmm.
we're if I were to go to my local PTA and stand up and say that, um, there would just be silence. Like, nobody would be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh yeah, he's right." Maybe I'd get a couple of people that would clap just to be nice because they hate silence, but um, nothing would happen from it. I wouldn't get phone calls afterwards. I wouldn't. It's we're not ready as a society to have that conversation.
Why? What's wrong? But it's the truth. Is there something
Hmm.
about the lineage, the history of white America and what it has meant in this country and what white America has sold to be the history of this country because they don't align? Is that the problem?
I think that is it. Um, I think that's the root cause. I think that over the past 20 years or so, 20, 30, 40, maybe even years,
Mm-hmm.
there has been this culture shift of this mentality of, like, if I am a red-blooded American male, I have to be the alpha male. And in order to be the alpha male, that means I can't make a mistake. And if I admit that I did something wrong, then that means I'm weak. That means I'm not the alpha male that I thought that I was. And if I'm not the alpha male that I thought that I was, then who am I? Because that's been my whole personality.
Uh-huh.
And I think that a lot of people are not comfortable with having that conversations with themselves of understanding, like, yeah, I made a mistake, like this is wrong and I need to correct it. um, and so I think that's a large reason why they're not able to see that, is because so much of their personality, so much of their character is wrapped up in this myth, or this idea of who they want to portray themselves to be, that they don't want to sit with themselves long enough to understand that they made a mistake in some way, shape, or form, and that they need to take the steps to correct
And I'm assuming too, it gives some level of affirmation or confirmation when you have a leader like we have now who
it.
is, um, well, not we, they're the leader, the
Whether we
person.
want to or not, he's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Him, that man. When you have that man who is pretty much parroting everything that they believe,
hmm
and confirming it,
Yep.
then I'm assuming there will be no shift because you've got the highest office in the land saying, yes, it's okay.
Right.
Yes, I'm throwing this group of people out. Yes, women are just all of it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think that, if anything, the most recent election has confirmed that feeling within them.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's going to continue, unfortunately, for the foreseeable future. One of the things that I think about a lot is the fact that, um, w- I don't have the ability to go and stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and get people to change their minds and get people to change their opinions. That's not who I am.
Hmm.
But what I can do is I can, when I'm in those circles, because I live in a small town in Tennessee, right? Like,
Hmm.
where is this state is as ruby red as it gets.
Yes, yes.
We're, Tennessee is the tip of the spear for crazy ass conservative
Hmm.
shit.
Yes.
Um, and so what I can do is, when I'm in situations where I'm with groups of people who are predominantly white, I can voice my opinion, and kind of steer things in a positive direction, um, in a way that other people couldn't,
Hmm.
because of the color of their skin or their gender.
Hmm. Well,
And so
yeah.
that's one of the things that I try to do, is enact change in that way, even if it's just a little bit.
Here's the
Um,
thing, though, Charlie. I appreciate, and I think a lot of people, people of color, Black people, appreciate when we see people like you, even if it's something as small as, but it's huge, that you are posting things on your own platform for your own followers. This is coming
mhm.
out of your own mouth, that I think it does a world of good. Just that simple, because what I have realized is, even in my friend group who are white, they I can count on one hand how many people are doing that.
Yeah.
And you're one of them. I can't think of anybody else right now. The other people I follow who are white men who do that, I don't know them personally, but
hmm
out of my friend group, women and men, you, you. So
Well,
what one of the things I wanted to ask too, because I remember a while back when we were going through the COVID situation, we were all gonna, I think we either going into it or coming out of it. I can't remember. We were gonna meet in Tennessee, Chattanooga, to get together because we had done that one time before. And based on how the climate was, how the world was, I was like, I'm not coming. And I was like, and I know because I was going to be the only Black person, in our friend group who was going to be there, even though I knew we were going to be at a restaurant. But I was not safe in thinking that if I am in a room filled with white people and I am, the just a handful of people, I don't know what can kick off in this room. So
yeah.
to keep myself safe, I'm not coming. How
hmm
did that make you feel?
Um, I was, I mean, extremely sad, but at the same time, I understood it.
Hmm.
Um, I cannot even begin to imagine what that would feel like because it's not a feeling that I've ever had. Um, and I think a key thing for me that I have learned is basically if someone is telling you how something is impacting them, believe them.
Hmm.
And just that simple thing, it opens up a whole new world for people
Hmm.
because a lot of us come to any situation with a set of assumptions and expectations. And I think a common assumption that people who have my skin tone think and feel is that, you know, my point of view is how the rest of the world is seen,
Hmm.
and it's extremely selfish, ignorant point of view. But when you if you take the time to say like, okay, I'm going to sit with what you're saying and I'm going to believe you,
Hmm.
um, it changes your perspective because it forces you to ask those questions. Okay, why does she feel that way? What about the situation makes her feel that way? And I think most importantly, which kind of goes back to why some people don't want to have those conversations, it's not a it's not a direct impact on me that you don't
Hmm.
feel that way. Like you're not saying I don't feel comfortable with Charlie.
Right.
You're saying all these other people that I don't know their
Hmm.
backgrounds. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what happened to them that this day that might inspire them to do something that I'm not comfortable with. That's the issue.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I totally understood it. And it made me sad, but then at the same time, it, we were all being super careful. Or no, we weren't all being super careful. I
Right.
was being super careful because I have two kids with special needs that are
Hmm.
immunocompromised. And so I in the back of my mind I was also thinking like, I'm not sure if I need to go to this because I don't want to
Right.
bring something home that's gonna
Hurt
endanger
your
them.
entire family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you ever wonder what it's like being Black?
Um, I do. Yeah, absolutely. Every day. I think about what um I think about what that would be like.
What
And
do you believe that would be like?
um it's hard to say. Coming from my perspective, I think if I were all of a sudden to wake up and be Black, I think that um it would be scary. I think it would be really disappointing because I think I what I'm imagining is that I would see a lot of people that would treat me a certain way right now because of being white, and then approaching them the next day as a different skin tone and seeing how they treat me or look at me um, or interact with me. I think would be extremely disappointing. It reminds me of when the day after the election, I did a post, and my post was, I guess we're not living in the world that I thought we were living in. And you immediately wrote back, you and another friend of mine who's Black, immediately both wrote in and they said, you said the same thing. You're like, oh, I knew all along.
Hmm.
And that post caused so much friction. But I think it was good friction because people started actually talking.
Hmm.
Um, but I went through the same thing in 2016. Was I really thought that in the election of 2016, I thought that we had come to a place where we as a country understood or came to accept that the color of your skin should not be a reason to alter your vote one way or the other, or
Hmm.
you shouldn't. I thought we had all come together with that understanding, and I was so wrong. I was
Hmm.
so wrong.
Hmm.
And so I think I had thought the same thing in 20 last year. I had thought, okay, we're at the point where we can all agree that this person who was born on third base and is a career criminal, a convicted felon,
Hmm.
is not suitable for leading the free world. And I was
Hmm.
so wrong. Again, I
Hmm.
was so wrong. Um, So yeah, I mean it's it's a constant education, right? Like
Hmm.
it's changing every day. I mean, Black history changes every single day, and
Hmm.
so it's constantly um, it's constantly something that I'm working to learn about and to understand and to think through.
I appreciate that though, Charlie. I really do, because I think that, for Black people, we always have known, we've been knowing, we will forever know. And the way we move through the world, even the way I moved through my world when I lived in Knoxville, is completely different from, I'm sure, a number of my counterparts who were on air anchors and
Mhm.
me. Because
Oh
I'll
yeah.
never forget when I went to Appalachia, up there, and there were people who had never seen people who looked like me before. And there was one little girl who was like, "You're so pretty. Are you Oprah?" And I was like, "No, baby, I'm not Oprah." But it was just, we I've known that I have always, there are two worlds that I've operated in, and I've, hopscotch
Yeah.
between. And even when I remember a woman called me colored when I was in Knoxville. And there was another time when I was up near KKK country, when people kept asking me, "Hey, are you okay? When are you guys going to be wrapped up with your story?" And I kept wondering, like, what are you? And then somebody told me, "Oh, this was the birthplace of the KKK." And I was
Yeah.
like, duly noted. Let me get my stuff and let's get the hell up out of here.
Hmm.
So it is just a different way that we operate through the world. So when we find people who are like you, who may never understand what it's like, but who at least take the time to try to understand, it is something that we really do appreciate, honor, respect. My final question to you is, what do you love about being white?
So I knew you were going to ask this question because I'd done
Hmm.
some research.
Hmm.
The only thing that I, Charlie Milburn, like about being white is that I am able to use that as an avenue to open up doors for other people. That's it.
Hmm.
We took all the good stuff from you guys. You all have all the good stuff. Y'all have the food and the music and the sports and everything else. So there's nothing.
The melanin.
Exactly. So yeah, no, that is the only thing that I personally appreciate about my skin color.
Do you ever worry about, I'm sorry, one more question. Do you ever worry about, because you are vocal, you are a champion for not just Black people, but other people, all races. Do you ever worry about getting pushback or negative comments or hateful speech from people who are in your own community?
No, I don't worry about any of that
Okay.
because I expect it. So I
Mm,
don't worry about it because and like I said, I mean, we live in such a ruby red space that there are a
yeah.
lot of people out there that are going to push back. Um, and so that kind of comes with the territory, but I do I kind of appreciate it, honestly, when I do get some negative comments because it
Hmm.
means that I'm saying the right things.
Hmm.
If I'm triggering, the
Hmm.
people who should be triggered by the things that I'm saying, it means that I'm kind of hitting the right notes.
Absolutely. Charlie, I appreciate you. Thank you
Yeah.
for taking the time to talk to me and hopefully educating all of us about what we need to do in order to be more of a cohesive group of people. I don't know if I'll ever see it in my lifetime, but at some point I do hope that it will be the case. But I just know it ain't now. So
No, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll keep pushing, keep
we
walking
will.
forward every day.
That's it. That's it. Bye, y'all.
Bye.